When we need to sit down, it's natural to incline our backs and put our arms up, so the form of the chair has left its mark on human history. But for thousands of years, chairs were not simply for people to sit upon, but also incorporated cultural meaning. This is particularly evident in the design of classical Chinese chairs. So, what is unique about the design philosophy of the ancient Chinese? In fact, the Chinese chair was born in the Han and Tang dynasties, though the way the Chinese sit was determined far earlier than that. As the Chinese say, when you sit, you need to sit properly like a bell. One's sitting posture is an important part of etiquette, so the chair must be designed with some rules. Firstly, to show personal dignity, and secondly, for comfort. When these two things are at odds, comfort must take a back seat to dignity. Western chairs from ancient times also placed great importance on this ritual, and although they were more decorative, the traditional ideas of both East and West were about using the language of design to implement a code of conduct. The design of the Chinese chair is based on an humanistic spirit, which emphasizes the quality of the overall elegance, still profoundly influences modern design around the world. And when it comes to modern chair design, the Italians are arguably somewhat accomplished.
我们现在来到的是位于米兰的著名的时尚设计的博物馆。
In the world of contemporary furniture, many pioneering brands from Milan have attracted the world's attention for their highly creative design ideas. Their chairs are especially avant-garde, always leading fashion.
那么在这里呢，我们可以看到，他们将我们认为非常普通的塑料运用到我们时尚生活的产品当中。
Plastic chairs are quite common and rather cheap to produce. But plastic chairs from Italy can be extremely expensive, selling millions every year. So what is so special about their design?
Cartel è uno dei materiali più facili da usare con l'industria, quindi con stampi, macchine, processi produttivi. Quindi abbiamo usato tutti i materiali, ma specialmente c'è stato un uso del materiale plastico in tutte le sue nuove versioni.
It transpires that what designers value most about the material is its excellent plasticity. Allied with cutting-edge technology, it can surpass other materials and achieve novel forms that were once impossible, inspiring a design revolution.
Il designer ha continuato a fare innovazione con migliore qualità del prodotto industriale.
So, the real value of these chairs lies in their imagination and distinctive aesthetic. Like the famous Louis Ghost chair, which was not only the world's first fully transparent chair made in one piece, but was also revolutionary in integrating new materials and Baroque style, making the chair an object of artistry. Since its creation in 2002, the chair became a global phenomenon. No wonder, even the British Queen speaks highly of it. With such works, we can see that, from the perspective of Italians, contemporary chair design is a pursuit of innovative exploration. The chair should not only be practical, but should also become a work of art, conveying an aesthetic and making art central to life. Today, although the era of industrialization means the golden age of the craftsman is over, the pursuit of quality makes us cherish the spirit of craftsmanship that they have inherited. So, what kind of commitment does this require? Among the many shops that line the streets of Rome, this leather goods shop may not seem like anything special, but in fact, it's a household name with a history of over 100 years. For centuries, Italian leather goods have been famed for their exquisite materials and superb workmanship, a craft that Italians are rightly proud of. Classic Italian handmade leather bags and shoes like these have always been used as models by international brands.
这位老先生呢，已经有80几岁高龄，他们有4代的这种传承。那么我们想，我们看似一个简单的皮具，那么在整个家族当中，它成了一件艺术品。
I'm going to take a good look at how they sustain the classic features of their crafts.
È un attrezzo che a manuale, una zeppa a manuale, l'ago col filo, poi si prende la lesina.
In the traditional workshop, we see many complicated steps from design to the finished product.
Capito? Questo bottone si ottiene con corna di cervo, si dice a Roma.
The objects that we take for granted often go through myriad stages of refinement and repeated polishing.
Per ottenere questa morbidezza, questo avvallamento, vede, la morbidezza del lavoro che questo gli si dà questa piega qua, vedi, per la morbidezza, vedi?
Yes.
To trim a belt, it may take half a day. To make a bag, a week perhaps. And to craft a pair of handmade leather shoes, even for a lifelong master, sometimes it takes months of work. Slow work makes fine work. And the quality that comes with working one stitch at a time is a far cry from a mechanical assembly line that produces countless goods in an instant.
Questo è il timbro del laboratorio, della casa, tutto a mano.
在一个小小的印记当中呢，大家可以看到这种手工的这种温度，它也体现了和这种技艺的传承。不仅是老先生，包括他的女儿、女婿都在学习这种技艺，把它传承下去。
After experiencing it myself, I realized that the craftsmanship kept alive in Rome is simply the preservation and continuation of tradition. They believed that the only way to preserve such classic styling is to keep the intricacies of the original craft. In Shanxi, however, the sense of dedication is somewhat different. The pearl in the blue sea, shining under the moon like a teardrop, the warmth of the sun in Lantian-made mist rise from jade. Jade carvings in Shanxi province's Lantian have been passed down for thousands of years. Today, I'm going to visit a jade carver. Xin Shuilin, one of the few heirs to the skill of Lantian jade carving. In his generation, we have seen this ancient craft migrate from a folk context to an academic environment, from personal creation to a more systematic and comprehensive study.
您做这个行业有多长时间了？
近乎40年。
Unlike the dedication of Western craftsmen, it is rare to see jade carved with traditional tools today, and instead, many modern tools are widely used. So, is this still considered a traditional craft?
杨老师，你来。
哎，好的，我来尝试尝试哈。
这个预教过程，它主要是取之于料的过程。手工，这都是手工。如果是
就是工具效率更高，
效率更高。这个区别在效率上。
In the view of the artisans, what they really need to rely on is not an unchanging array of tools, but observance of the traditional philosophy and techniques of jade carving.
背描、手描、泥手，这个基础必须要好。虽然画的平面叫立体人，预教是3维阶。
您这个主题叫什么呢？
生活朝阳。
As the saying goes, if jade is not cut and polished, it cannot be made into anything. The patterns and detailing passed down from generation to generation are a concentration of classical aesthetics, conveying cultural motifs through their absorption of thousands of years of imagery. What Shanxi artisans inherit is the traditional craft of shaping beauty. Rome's Piazza del Popolo is home to the world-famous Leonardo da Vinci Museum. When people think of Leonardo da Vinci, they immediately think of his amazing paintings. But in fact, he was an amazing designer, well ahead of his time. When you open a Da Vinci manuscript, you can see a lot of mechanical, structural drawings that you might see in society today, gathering dust here for over 600 years. What is even more surprising is that at the time, among some of Da Vinci's advanced designs, there was actually a vehicle that could move on its own. So what did it look like exactly?
被誉为意大利文艺复兴三杰之一的莱昂纳多·达芬奇，就在他的大西洋古抄本当中呢，绘制了一辆能够自动行走的车。
These mechanical structures made of wood are where the vision of the car as we know it started. Its four systems of driving, transmission, handling and load-bearing, each operating independently of each other, are almost identical to modern cars.
那么这个模型呢，可以看成是当时大家对车的一种向往。
600 years later, a dream had become a reality. Da Vinci's descendants have turned Italy into a nation at the forefront of world car design. Since the 1980s, China's auto industry has boomed, becoming the world's largest producer and seller of cars at the start of the century. As one of the first countries to cooperate with China's auto industry, Italy's manufacturing experience along the way was well worth learning from. So, in the contemporary era of multiple car brands, how exactly did their cars achieve such global influence? With this question in mind, I went to the Italian National Automobile Museum in Turin.
So the first exhibition was made in 1932, and in 1936 it was named as National Museum. We have about 200 cars.
Learning that I came from China, the director eagerly pointed out that the exchange of car culture between China and Italy first took place a long time ago. She admired the speed of development of Chinese cars and talked to me about the manufacturing history of Italian cars, proudly telling me that the first Beijing-Paris car rally was won by this Italian classic car. The Italians are good at learning and summing up their experience as a people, and in this museum, I witnessed that journey. In each stage of car development, they managed to combine their strengths with artistic inclinations to craft a unique design language and fashion sense, which is their forte. When modern cars were first made, they incorporated the shock absorption and steering technology of horse-drawn carriages, greatly improving comfort and handling. When the family car gradually became popular, Italians paid a lot of attention to the practicality of car design, without forgetting about style, bringing many fashionable models to thousands of households around the world. While technology advances at such a fast pace and power technology continues to improve, Italians also redefined the term speed machine with innovative and avant-garde styling, launching an unstoppable sports car trend with profound implications. It was arguably their pursuit of design that turned such an ordinary industrial product into an icon.
L'automobile ha rappresentato da sempre un sogno. Qui in Italia il design è sempre stato una delle caratteristiche ispirate all'arte, alla bellezza dei monumenti, del paesaggio, di tutto quello che ci circonda. E quindi qui vediamo per esempio una vettura bellissima.
Walking among the exhibition halls, this splendid history tells me that putting design first and creating their very own car culture is the secret of Italian success. Cars play an increasingly important role in our lives today. With the popularization of cars in China, the successful experience of the Italians is a great boost to contemporary Chinese designers. The 600-year-old desire to have cars reflects a never-ending design dream. In this new era, when Chinese design concepts continue to mature, I believe the day will come when China will be a world leader. The International Motor Show is a major event in Xi'an, which has witnessed the introduction of Chinese cars onto the world stage. In just a few decades, the design of Chinese automobiles has transformed from simple imitation to independent innovation and is now aligned to international standards. During this kind of development, it's always necessary to communicate and cooperate with foreign designers. The most famous of them is an Italian, known as the design master of the century.
Ladies and gentlemen, Giorgetto Giugiaro.
From China's first joint venture car, the Santana, in 1983, to the stunning Chinese high-tech concept sports car Ren in 2018, we can see the influence of Giorgetto Giugiaro. So what kind of designer is he? And what kind of relationship does he have with Chinese cars? Surprisingly, the design studio I was searching for is not located in the jungle of a modern city, but in this quiet country house. I was impressed by his exceptional temperament upon meeting him. In his 80s, he is still as energetic as a young man. He is even kinder and warmer to his Chinese friends. The house is more like an art gallery than a modern car design studio, imbued with a fine artistic atmosphere.
This painting is your
Thank you.
collection.
Yes,
It's
a good paint.
Russian artist?
Russian?
Yes.
Yes.
With exquisite furnishings and elegant styling, it's no wonder he designs beautiful cars for the automotive industry.
First, drawing in matematiche misure, ortogonali, le viste frontali, quindi c'è tutto un percorso che da sempre ho questo tipo di primo approccio, poi con i collaboratori si sviluppa.
And the finish, you do the model. Yes.
Over the past 60 years, Giugiaro has always insisted on drawing by hand to express the artistic textures of his designs during each car's initial conception. In his words, beautiful lines can only be drawn by the pen. When it comes to Chinese cars, he is even more proud.
It's a Chonghua. Geely.
Many best-selling models of Chinese brands, including Hongqi, Chery, Bestune, and Chonghua, were produced through his cooperation with Chinese designers. He said that many of his designs became a reality because of inspiration from Chinese culture. In particular, in the design of the Hongqi H7 in 2012, where he incorporated ideas from the Huangguoshu waterfall and the Gate of Tiananmen into the shape, combining Italian design concepts with Chinese aesthetic elements, blending East and West to fashion a unique style. After hearing this, I was even more keen to have a look at his work.
Va bene, vieni con me che andiamo a vedere le auto vere.
Ok.
Prego.
At Giugiaro Design Center in Turin, I saw an automobile empire that had gone from blueprints to reality. I didn't realize that so many classic car models that have been so influential in the history of design were designed by him. Over the past half-century, his work has been featured in the world's top car brands, which are familiar now to the Chinese today. Mr. Giugiaro is undoubtedly a man ahead of his time. So how can we learn from his success?
您在设计的时候是如何去平衡艺术和科技之间的关系呢？
Innanzitutto bisogna avere molta fantasia, ma per realizzare tot di anni c'è nuovi sistemi, delle forme e della funzionalità e quindi è importante conoscere le tecnologie che suggeriscono e di grande importanza per chi deve utilizzarle.
In the 1950s, he used the latest aerodynamic theories of the time to create a series of beautiful streamlined shapes that amazed the public. Using advanced structural technologies, he created an angular, three-dimensional design aesthetic that remains influential today. The key to his success lies in the fact that he treated cars as works of art within the realm of technology, always putting artistic creation first. This short visit revealed to me the style of this expert and how he has enlightened us. Nowadays, Chinese cars are gaining international recognition. On the global stage, we should not only embrace technological progress, but also employ mature design concepts to fashion a new era of Chinese style. Throughout the ages, people's home life has always centered around the reception room, and the way it looks is an important manifestation of design. Despite the variety of styles in the world today, the concept of furnishings and layout is rooted in the traditions of home furnishings in both East and West. Before I came to visit this traditional family in Rome, I got wind of a secret being hidden here. What could it be? And what are the characteristics of an Italian reception room? The living room and the dining room are the most important parts of a traditional Western house. Although the rooms seem very familiar, they have a different design philosophy.
那我们会看到，包括家具、装饰的绘画，这里边呢也是充满了很多古典的这种气息。
The Italian reception room is mostly used for living, and the layout is relatively open. The arrangement of the sofa and chairs has no concept of rank or positioning, it all just depends on their purpose. There are no fixed rules for the configuration of cabinets, bookshelves, and coffee tables, quantities of which depend on how many are required.
这种古典的沙发椅和靠背椅很有一个温馨的氛围。
So, the main design concept of the Western living room is its multifunctionality. It can be both a leisure space and an entertainment space, where everyone can go about their business, whether reading or chatting. But surprisingly, the hostess told me that you can't have a similar layout in the dining room. I wonder why.
这个餐厅是一个很传统的一个欧式的一个布局。
It turns out that the dining room is the most important social space for Italian families. You may think it's for the enjoyment of food, but it's actually also for all family members to attend and resolve major and minor issues. So the dining room is much more straightforward in layout. In addition to tables and chairs, cabinets, and necessary lighting, there are few other pieces of furniture. This is designed to meet the needs of a more singular function, allowing everyone to focus their attention on the exchanges going on around the table. But despite having a good look, I don't seem to be able to find the aforementioned secret.
原来在这所房子下面真的有一个秘密。2000年前的古罗马居住空间展现在我们面前。其实我们还会看到古典的这种传承。
I'm really stunned to find such a rare historical site beneath an ordinary house. Although hundreds of years have flown by, the basic layout of the hall is similar to how it is today. Obviously, it was divided into areas with furnishings depending on function. I have only now truly felt that the Western design tradition that emphasizes pragmatism lies along the same lines. In contrast, the Chinese reception room is completely different, and we have another design idea. So, how would a traditional Chinese family decorate their reception room? There's an old Chinese saying that refers to a good woman by describing her as a good hostess in the reception room and a top chef in the kitchen. In almost all ancient houses, the reception hall was always the space with the highest status, which not only represented the countenance of the family, but was also a symbol of the owner's identity and dignity. First of all, the hall should show the owner's taste and express his aspirations and pursuits, so it must have plaques, couplets, calligraphy, and paintings. These are not only decorative, but also a reflection of the owner's inner cultivation. Whether a feeling for the family and nation, or an encouragement to oneself, they all epitomize traditional values. Then, to enhance a rather solemn and majestic atmosphere, not only would furniture of the finest materials and craftsmanship be found in the hall, but the layout was even more meticulous. The innermost position is a long, narrow table at the center, followed by a combination of master chairs and the 8 Immortals table. Then on both sides, the second rank of seats are lined up. All the furniture is displayed in a square way, emphasizing the symmetry of the axis with both left and right. In this way, a sense of order is created in the family, which emphasizes the traditional concept of etiquette. For thousands of years, the Chinese have been using the same style of reception room. From the smallest family living room to the largest palace hall, all possess the same shape and layout. This design concept, which emphasizes the use of form to express cultural values, is what the Chinese people prize the most. Although the different traditions of East and West have shaped the rooms with their own cultural strengths, these different paths reach the same destination, and are all part of the trajectory of civilization that is inherited through design.